Okay. Good morning, you all. Good morning, Professor, Professor Gerara. Well, everybody. This video is going to serve as my final presentation. Yes, for our course, which is the oral expression 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's oral expression 2. And I am going to talk and make short presentation on my course at the University of Brasilia. Well, I studied languages. Here we call it letras. This nomenclature, this term is still a little bit traditional, but best universities in Brazil, such as UNB, are progressive right now. We are, public universities in Brazil are the most progressists in here. So I am going to tell you a little bit about this course, which is marvelous in my opinion, and also about my experience at this university too. To begin with, I started the Letras languages course in 2012. My languages course, actually was Brazilian Portuguese a second language, you know? And I decided at the same time to get some courses from the Letras Inglês, languages, English. Well, in my opinion, course here, the languages course here, focuses, it has some foundations. For example, it grants students with great courses on linguistics, literature, education. Yes, basically these three ones: linguistics, literature, and education. Well, here at the UNB, most of professors are PhDs. Yes, it is. For me, it's an asset because it takes time to develop what we call the episteme, good cognition abilities, good cognition skills. And, in my opinion, this measure we have in here to hire most of professors, who are doctors, is actually a preventive measure for it's really, really, really complex to be in a public institution and conduce knowledge, make knowledge happen, and every now and then also state opinions. So, not that the PhD is required, but years and years of research and study is required so as to have the most, to have opinions as accurate as possible. Well, about my letras, my course in here, I had incredible courses on linguistics, applied linguistics, cross-cultural and intercultural problems, little of Brazilian contemporary literature, and education, right? In my opinion, this course is rather functionalist. People say that all the courses in letras tend to be more structuralist or generativist, but mine is, in my opinion, is functionalist for its creator background. You know, I know the professor who created the course, who developed the course, and she declares herself as functionalist. And what do I understand by functionalist? Functionalist. I mean, what do I understand by functionalism? For me, it's the focus on function. Theory, of course, is really nice, but we assume that we can forget every kind of knowledge, you know, if not practiced, within 2 years. So the so function I'm sorry. So functionalism focuses, claims that we should study, we should read, but the ability to consult manuals, to consult dictionaries, to consult theory books properly is what is going to determine our success while performing tasks involving language. Because you know, we don't know everything. We are going to forget. We are going to make mistakes. But we have manuals, we have dictionaries, we have books to guide us. And the habit of consulting them periodically will also determine how it's going to determine how not effective but proficient we could be in a given language. Because it's not only a matter of being a really cognoscitive person. I'm here, I am super intellectual, I know everything. I think it's not the case. Because our moods vary. You know? But we have the tools, including the internet. And planning our works is what is going to determine how effective, how well developed our work is going to be. For example, if I decide to teach, if I plan my lessons previously, if I just brainstorm about them, if I just brainstorm how could I conduce a lesson regarding that topic, it's gonna be a warm-up. Of course, we do know that we might plan 1,000 times, and it's not going to be as planned. It's always going to be different. But thinking beforehand warms our brain up. You know, yes, it gets us going. For translations, we know that, we are Brazilians and we'll never be natives. We'll never be English native speakers, for example. But we can plan. We can, we'll never be native speakers, so we'll never ever be as fluent as a native. But we can be 99% native-like, say. But 100%, if I'm not mistaken, will never be, you know. However, world is so mixed, so cosmopolitan nowadays. In big cities, especially in big cities, that we don't need to be natives to be successful, because we're gonna have fellow foreigners. That's reality. So keeping up to date with studies, readings, also with the development, taking care of ourselves, is going to determine, is going to shape the kind of professional we want to be. Back to the letras course. Back to the letras course. It was a really amazing experience, in my opinion, personally, because I learned that reasoning is linguistical. Our reasoning, language shapes our reasoning, and reasoning shapes our language. So, what we say, what we study, who we interact with are going to be key factors in shaping our identity. And if I if I want the best for myself, I need to devote attention to language, and everybody also should. Yes. Well, in the Letras course, we have a program which is UNB Idiomas. I am currently an instructor over there, although I graduated, although I finished the Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese as second language course, I am currently teaching English at this program, which is UNB Idiomas, and I'm loving the experience. Because, I also studied English at college. It's my minor, I'm on half of it. I'm gonna graduate, have a degree in the English course by, within 2 years and a half, I think. But having considerable foundation in Portuguese and literature, Brazilian literature, also some theory, linguistics theory in Portuguese, it served as a really solid ground for all other theories I've been in contact with. Why? Because, in my opinion, Brazilian schools, although we have many hours devoted to Portuguese and languages in Brazilian schools, it's not about linguistics. It's about traditional language, traditional Brazilian Portuguese, which sometimes does not meet the needs of a really complex society. But at college, I had the opportunity to be in touch with really top-notch theories on linguistics and understand how big the world is through language. If we imagine that this world is so complex, and that we have 7 billion human minds in here, I think it's a good starter point to consider language as a whole, the families we had, the families we still have, linguistic families we still have, language families we still have, and consider that this political thing, people together forming a country, then a continent, then blocks, and etc., with agreements all through language, interactions through language, then I can see that I'm not alone. I live in a really complex society. It is an adaptive complex system. For example, if I get this pen and throw it away, it's gonna be on the garden forever unless somebody comes and takes it. If nobody takes action, uh, it's going to be harmful to environment. Okay. The relation between this and language is, if I am a child, if I am isolated from, the political, from the social, and etc., and if I'm not educated that this is plastic and that I cannot throw it away wherever I want, otherwise it's gonna harm the environment. If I'm not educated toward this, if I don't have the language to read about this, to understand what people say about this, I won't be adding to the world. And what do I mean? Through language, in association with psychology somehow, correct me if I'm mistaken, we can evolve. There's no right or wrong in this world, but what I am sure is we are here to evolve. And we can just evolve through language. If I am isolated in a field, for example, with no contact with anything, surviving, I'm gonna be driven by instincts. I'm gonna be driven by instincts all the time. I don't know. But for me, instincts are not a sign of evolution. Yes. They're just basic reactions, really basic reactions. And through language and education, we can shape it so as to live in society and not make other lives more difficult. Not only human lives, but all lives, animals and even plants included. So that's what I could profit from Letras course. It's really subtle. I cannot say how big the impact is, but I can say that now I am aware. I am aware I'm not alone. I am aware that I can consult. I am aware that my communication and my language sometimes is going to determine who I am, the image people have about me. That's it. And I thank all professors from the Letras Institute and from UNB too for devoting so much attention and patience to this beautiful thing which is knowledge. Thank you, Professor.